Hello everybody, this is Back Blast. Here I am again on Planet Zoo and something slightly different today. You may notice the map. The map is not my usual zoo. It's not the Chester Zoo that I've been building. It's actually a community zoo. So this was the idea of another YouTuber called Mrs TeaRex, and she put a message out there just saying, hey, does anybody want to build like a big community zoo? You don't have to be any good. It doesn't have to be anything super fantastic. Just what we'll do is we'll divvy up a zoo and everybody just make a little bit. So I thought that was a great idea. I thought I'd love to get involved with that. And I've had this idea for a zoo with a path that goes behind a waterfall for quite a while. But because I've been doing the Chester Zoo quite a bit, I haven't really found time to do any other zoos or any sort of franchise zoos or anything like that. So I've just been doing the Chester Zoo stuff, and it's been pretty full on. I mean, even this video, I think this is 8 hours worth of video. So I spent eight hours making this. But yeah, so what we've got actually is I got in touch with her. I said, I'll take 4 of those squares, please. And she said, right, yeah, these are your 4 squares. Told me which ones they were. And I said, I'm building some grizzly bears, please. And that's what we're doing. So what I decided was I was going to have a few bits underground. So we've got a little keeper hut there. And we've also got a generator. And we're going to be putting in a water pump as well. So that means that they're out of the way of the public, and also it means that the water will stay clean and all my various bits will stay powered. You know, the info signs and things like that. I did originally think that maybe I'd get 2 different animals in here, so I'd get the grizzlies in and something else. So where this bridge is here, there was maybe going to be a small enclosure on that little plateau, but I've changed it towards the end of the video. You'll notice we do something slightly different there. Now the problem with this is, once you've built something and you then want to save it into a community zoo, you can save the actual enclosure, and if you do it correctly, it will save everything. It'll save all the land, it'll save all the buildings, all the waterfalls, all the trees and all that. The only thing it doesn't save is the paths. For whatever reason, paths are a nightmare. So I have to redo all the paths at the end, and I don't think there's a video of that because that's when I'm actually uploading it into the community zoo. What we've got here is I'm trying to build the door to the enclosure. So from that path that goes underground, I was originally going to put the doorway to the enclosure so the keepers can get in through the same way, and it doesn't quite work. So now we're working on the waterfall. Now this is quite interesting because the waterfall, I decided I was going to have it so that the bears could go through the waterfall into a little area at the back, and that is the case. That is how it is in the final one. But also you can wander in from the other direction, so from the back of the exhibit, and see into this behind the waterfall cave. So this is the path that walks all the way around the back of the waterfall. It comes up one side, goes down the other side, and it gives 3 different views over the top of the enclosure, one of which hangs out over the enclosure slightly, and another one is just behind the waterfall. And originally I planned on doing maybe a hotel or something here, you know, some sort of restaurant or something like that. But I thought, well, there's a lot of people actually saying that they'd like to do food areas and things like that. So I thought, well, I won't bother with that. I'll just keep it as a viewing platform. So I built the platform like that, and that's pretty much how it is in the finished piece. It's always difficult to try and recreate path work because paths are a nightmare. I don't know if you can see on the path coming up there where I'm working now, there's a kind of rib cage above the pathwork. So it just looks as though it's some kind of creature. It's something like that. But there is a story to this. There is a story to the whole enclosure. And the story is that it is a quarry. And the quarry has been mined out. And the quarry company have just sort of let it go to ruin. And it's flooded. The bears have moved in. And that's about it, really. So it is an old quarry, and the idea is that there will still be some quarry buildings around and a few other bits. So I'll be putting those in a short while. But I wanted a lot of things like this, where I've got some woodwork with some ropes on it, so it looks as though it's been mined out and it's just sort of been higgledy-piggledy and a bit left to disrepair. That's quite an ongoing theme within this. Now, of course, the grizzly bears are from North America. So we wanted to reflect all that with the various planting around the exhibit. And because of the way I've done the fences for the exhibit, everything that is in this build is from North America and the habitat that you will find in grizzly bear sort of country. And you can see here again, you know, this is the quarry theme. I wanted a little rail system coming up. Which we're building now. So yeah, so the other interesting thing about the build is that there is no actual fencing stopping the bears getting out. And I wanted it so that really you couldn't actually have fencing, or you couldn't see fencing. I did change my mind a little bit on that later, and that wasn't because I didn't like the idea of fencing. It's just when I built this area here that I'm doing now, I thought that maybe it would look good if it was fenced off from the public, like it used to be a quarry building, and then they've just sort of said, oh, we don't want the public coming in, it's a bit dangerous, let's put a fence around it. So I've done that. But it isn't actually what stops the bears getting out. The bears are stopped by all the other bits that are there. So you'll see in a little while I build some mine carts, and we put some rocks down, and that is what stops the bears coming out. There we go. A nice little building. This was the Quarry Building. We just wanted something that just sort of said, old building, no longer in use, with a crane or something to lift the stone off here. I just wanted to give the impression that this once span round. So it used to be maybe a crane that you could move left and right and then lift the stones up and down. So that's why it's got a round base on it. We've got some ropes up there. There was no chain in the game that's thin enough to go on there to make it look decent. Now this was pretty good. These are actually window boxes, and I put a couple together, and I thought, well, let's try and make a minecart out of these. We can put the wheels in like that, and we can make it look a bit more like a minecart. And that doesn't, but it will do in a bit. Especially when we get a couple of them. And I wanted a few things inside and underneath to make it look as though there was some sort of mechanical things going on underneath. So there's some sort of wooden structure under there. And then we put the sides on, and I actually sink them into the cart slightly, so you've got the metal frame of the window boxes just poking through. So it looks as though it's a wooden box that's it's actually strengthened with a metal frame. I quite like it. I was quite pleased with that. It didn't take long at all. And it gives me then the opportunity to pop a few more just lying around. And they're actually what stops the bears getting in. Or getting out. And of course, if it's a quarry, you need some rocks in there, don't you? So they brought the last one up and nobody's finished it. Maybe the crane broke. there. I think it looks better when you put the second one on. You know, it just looks as though it is a proper thing. Now I couldn't get these to fit, so they're poking out of this side a little bit, and I've hidden that with a piece of corrugated iron there. And again, Quarry, they've brought up some stones. Some of them are rubbish stones, so we've just got a kind of heap of old stones there that's overgrown with grass. Quarry Office, there we are. A couple of brackets to make it stand out from the wall. Looks beautiful, but it still looks a bit plain on the outside. We need a few more things to make it look sort of lived in. I found a weather vane there. I put that in there originally, and then I went to bed, and when I woke up I thought, I need to move that. I want to put a little shed on the side. That's how things work. So this bit of path hangs out over the quarry, and I quite like the idea of that, but obviously it doesn't just float in the air, so we needed a bit of support underneath. So that's what's going on here. We've just getting a few little brackets in there and get some rope on it so it looks as though it's all tied together. So as I mentioned, the whole idea of this was from Mrs TeaRex. She's got a YouTube channel where she's been building, amongst other things, she's been building Edinburgh Zoo. So that's pretty good. You should go and check that out. She's a very good builder, and her zoo looks fantastic. She has been doing a few other little bits recently. You can see here I've got the etched panels for the bears. I wanted something to say bears. And I think when you get the wooden beams in there as well, it actually looks pretty effective. I quite like it. Just line it all up properly. And I need something for the ends. I'm just trying to work out what we want to put in there. Yeah, and the zebra print. Yeah, that looks alright. To turn the corner. Get some bits in there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks good when the waterfall's running. There you go. I moved it. I want to put a little shed on the end. Because I thought that the quarry building looked like a big cube, and I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all, so we thought we'd change it. Oh, I should have put windows on the back. I didn't think about that. Well, I did think about that. I thought about that at some point last night as well, but I didn't change it. Oh well, never mind. There you go, a little shed. Maybe holds the dynamite in there or something. So you don't want people getting in and getting the dynamite, do you? No, 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 no. Now, these paths weren't too fiddly, and I managed to sort of get them working. Unfortunately, when I then saved it and then sent it to the community zoo, and I obviously you save it as a blueprint. Then I went into the community zoo, pasted in my blueprint of all this that I've built. No paths, of course. It was then a nightmare putting the paths in. It was harder putting the paths in than it was originally. I've had to redo the paths quite a bit, and they look similar to the ones that are in this build, but they're not far off. There's the fence. I put the fence in there. We need a little gate there at the front. We're going to see this. I didn't realise this was in it. I wasn't sure. With a lot of the builds that I do, I tend to put my name in them. Whether that's an enclosure or, you know, some of my Chester Zoo buildings. If you search for it, my name will be in there somewhere. Maybe it's under the roof. Maybe it's under the flooring. But I do like to occasionally pop my name in. Hidden away. In fact, I can think of 2 buildings in my Chester Zoo build that have got my name in them. So there you go. So if ever you download my Chester Zoo build, you can go and have a look. See if you can find him. There we go. So I've put a load of trees in the other squares there. So what I did was I looked at all the eligible trees for the area. So all the North American taiga, tundra and temperate trees, which are what the grizzlies like. I popped them all down, all the ones that we could use, and then I picked the ones that I like the look of. So I thought if I just choose like 3 or 4 trees instead of putting 15 different types of tree in, that'll sort of bring it together a little bit more. And now we've got a bear. There is a bear wandering around. Just so that I can see if they can escape, or what I need to look at, what I need to change, but also for things like this, so that I know that I've got enough foliage in there, so the bears are happy with the environment. And now we're just doing a lot of planting. We just need to make a lot of the enclosure look like it's a realistic thing. So just making sure that it doesn't just look nice in the bit where the bears are, but it looks nice in the bits where the people are sort of outside looking at it. Here's the secret cave around the back. You see, there you go. So the bears can go in there. There's a secret cave. This needs shoring up. Looks a bit rickety. Let's get it strengthened like that. There we are. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. And again with the lights, put all the lights down. Get rid of the ones I don't like the look of. And then narrow it down and pop lights in. I made this little stand. So it's got a couple of brackets and a plank and then 2 torches on. And that's pretty much what goes through that pathway that runs behind the waterfall. And then for the rest of the build, all the bits where a path joins the main zoo, I put some street lights in, and a couple in here so we can see the bear in the sleeping den hidden behind the waterfall. And I also wanted to put a little tent or something in. This was an idea I had. Originally I thought maybe I'll put it in with the bears so that it looks as though somebody's gone camping and the bears are there. But there isn't actually that much room in the enclosure. It's quite a big build, but the area the bears can get to isn't massive. I'd say it's probably about 50%. So most of it is where people go. And there's a bit in the middle where the bears can go. Anywhere where there's water, the bears can get to. They can get to that little island. They can even get behind the quarry house. Now, this is interesting as well. I wanted something like a load of logs had come down the river. So I just thought if we stack them up there or something, that'll look pretty good. Yeah, so the bears can actually get behind the quarry building. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Pathing troubles. What is it with paths in this game? I even toyed with the idea there of putting in a 2-meter wide path. I'm still toying with it. I'm trying to get the 2-meter one to work. Still toying with a 2-meter path. I worked on this for ages. Wow. And then just bringing all the barriers back in. Now we've got it working slightly. Well, it didn't go in as far as I wanted it to. It didn't. I think there's a path above it. You see, the one that goes behind the waterfall, and I think it didn't want to go behind underneath the other path. I think that's the problem. Yeah, you can ignore most of this woodwork here because, again, when I saved it to Blueprint and then put it in the new zoo, a lot of this got deleted because technically it's outside the enclosure because it's where the path is. Oh, yeah, the little lamp. There was a little lamp and the sign. There was a sign. Oh, I don't know if that's still there. I suspect not. I suspect all this work's gone in vain. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah. Yeah, Grizzly Cave. Danger, Grizzly Cave. Danger. Just a few ropes holding the sign up. And again, a bit of rock work. Now, this was an idea I had. I thought maybe I want a little alcove where there's a waterfall running down it. So that's what this is. I just wanted something that looked a little bit slightly different. It doesn't. It sort of fits with the theme. It's not. It's not a great. It's not a great thing because it looks contrived. It looks like somebody's come along and done it on purpose, which isn't really what I wanted. I wanted it to look fairly natural, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. And we find out that baby bears can get out. Because baby bears more agile than big bears. So what I'm doing now is I'm using some of the quarry blocks to just block off the route where the bear got out. And what it's done is it's climbed up the railing. So the rails that the little mine carts run on, it's used those in the same way that if you build a fence that an animal can't get through, and then you put a climbable object through it, the animals can then climb through the fence. Yep. Game, you're so silly. So this is just rock work again, just making it look as if it has been quarried out, and making it look a little bit more like a half and half. I thought about putting an archway in here, and I quite like the copper archway there, and it didn't really work, and I wasn't happy with it. This is the seam there again of the golden rocks, and then some of the mossy ones. Quite like the mossy ones. And again, just rocks, just rocks, just rocks. And a little fence made out of those golden, those copper panels that I was going to make the arch out of. I think they're quite attractive as a fence. I think it looks quite nice. And just get some info in for the people. There you go. Do not feed the grizzly bears. Do not jump off this platform into the bear enclosure. So I quite like the tent. I didn't like where it was situated. So I decided I'd move that. So it is still in the enclosure, but it's just somewhere different. And I think you might see me move it. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, every time I look at these letters, I'm not sure I've picked the right colours here. I'm just checking all the lighting at night, making sure everything's lit up as I would wish it to be. Frequent save. And we needed something on here. So originally I thought maybe a hotel or something like that. And then there was a part of me sort of thought, well, actually I could do it as part of the Quarry Buildings. So it was maybe called the Quarry Hotel, or maybe it was another quarry building where they'd knocked it all down apart from the front, and then out the back was some sort of seating area, or yeah, I toyed with a few different things. I settled on this. I quite like these. Once I put them in, I really like them. You'll see me put in a huge couple of poles in a minute, and if you've seen any of my recent Chester Zoo things with the lemur exhibits, where they've got the netting over the enclosures, you'll see a familiar technique. I quite like it, that's why. It's just that this time it's not supposed to look like netting. It's just supposed to look like rope. I'm just angling all these down, so the lower at the front, higher at the back, and then we're going to put two of these great big logs in with a copper hexagon around them, and then we get the familiar rope. So the idea being that these huge poles are supporting these canopies there, so people can come up and stand under the canopies. They've got a little bit of shade and a little bit of maybe some protection from the rain, I'm not sure, but certainly some shade there. So we're just going to be doing some rope work. So what I did was, when I finished the zoo, and we are very, well, it's not a zoo, is it? When I finished the enclosure, and we are very close to the end of the video. I did a voiceover, as I usually do. I mean, when I make these videos, I'm never sure whether I'm going to just leave it as a time lapse and put some music on, or whether I'm going to do a voiceover on it. And I wanted to do the voiceover this time because it's a different zoo. It's not my usual thing, and I just wanted to explain why I'd done it. So I did record a brief, he says. It's about 3.5 minutes bit, just sort of saying, hey, this is Backblast, this is why I built it, that sort of thing. So that will be coming up in a minute or so, I think. So I'll be passing over to my my past self to just have a chat with you. If you've enjoyed this, as usual, give it a thumbs up. Go and visit Mrs TeaRex. I'll put some links in somewhere. And if you can, go and look on the Steam Workshop for the community zoo. I think it's, at the moment, I think it's called Community Zoo 1 or something like that, or 2, I'm not sure. But look for Mrs TeaRex, or look for Backblast, and you should be able to find it. But Community Zoo, certainly. It'll be there or thereabouts, and you'll see this is in there, and there's loads and loads of other things that other people have built. When I uploaded this to it, there were only about 6 or 7 other exhibits, but some of them look absolutely fantastic. And as I said, this has been a great little project for not just me, but anybody who's not that great at it and wants a bit of practice, or just people to do something different. So it was a great idea. So I'll put links into Mrs TeaRex. As I said, thumbs up for the video if you've liked it. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. Free to subscribe. And that's about it from this voiceover. I will now pass you over to my past self with the video of the finished enclosure, or as it was finished before I uploaded it to the community. Thanks for watching. Hello everybody, this is Backblast. Here I am again on Planet Zoo, and today I'm going to be showing you my Grizzly Gulch. This is a project that has been started by Mrs TeaRex, and she asked lots of people from the community whether they would like to create a piece of a massive zoo, really. And so what she's done is she created a grid like this, and said basically you can ask her for a square, or 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, whatever you like, and she will then allow you to build something within them that will go into a massive community zoo. So I asked for 4 squares, and this is my my Grizzly Gulch. It's a grizzly bear. It's a grizzly bear enclosure, really. It's based on, obviously, North America, and the area where grizzly bears would normally live. And I'll just give you a brief overview of it. So it looks like there's a sort of a hillside there with lots of trees. There's a waterfall, and in the middle there is the grizzly bear actual enclosure. Now there's lots of other things going on around the outsides and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll take you around, and we'll give you a brief look at some of the special items that are happening down there. So the first thing to do is we're going to have a look down at this. So this is the Grizzly Cave. A lot of what I've done is based on a kind of old quarry or an old mine, and the idea being that it used to be a quarry, and it's now flooded out, and the bears have moved in, and that's what's happened. So you'll see that theme throughout the enclosure. Now this is actually a cave that's hidden behind the waterfall, and the bears can come through here. They will swim in, and there's a couple of beds in here. There's also a toy in there for them to come and play with, but there's no bears in there at the moment. But there you go. Oh, danger, you're going into the Grizzly's cave. We have this waterfall hidden in the rockwork there. There's nothing else to that. There's no lights in it or anything. And the name of the enclosure. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at the entrance to the actual enclosure. So this is where the bears are accessed by the keepers. So this is the only part of wall in the entire enclosure. All the rest of it is hidden. Oh, there's a bear there, look. There is a baby bear and 2 adults in there. That's the only piece of wall. The rest of it is hidden. All hidden barriers. There is no other fences to stop the bears moving anywhere. We're going to have a wander through here. So this is the walkway that goes around the back of the enclosure. So if we can get the camera to work as we'd like. There's a fence on the left to stop people going over the edge of the cliff there. And then we come to the first of our platforms. So people can wander up here and have a look out and see the bears in their beautiful habitat. There we go. Lots of things going on there, and you can see the waterfall there. And then we have, actually behind the waterfall, we have a lovely glass barrier with some etched panels, and you can see past that again, maybe see the bears possibly if they're wandering about, and if not, you can walk down to this one, and this one actually overhangs, so you're actually over the top of the enclosure here, and you can see the water down there. The back of the old quarry building is just there, and I can see across. The bears are being a little bit shy today. Maybe we'll see them a bit further around. There we go. There's one of them now having a little swim. And is he going to go into the bear cave behind the waterfall? No, he's just having a wander about. Okay, so let's have a walk down the pathway. Let's go down here and have a look round at the old quarry buildings. So as you can see, we have the old quarry office, and the abandoned mine carts are here, and the last bits of stone from when it was last used. The track's been pulled up down here as well. You can see there's bits of wood and metal, and it's slightly buried. It used to go into there, but as you can see now, it's all flooded. And there's the briefest glimpse of possibly what people were after. There's different types of rock in here. There's a layer of this golden rock that goes all the way around, and I don't think that's what they were quarrying for, because all the quarried stone is the white stuff up here, so it's probably the layer underneath or further down possibly. We can see the actual quarry office there, long since abandoned. And what we've got now is, well, I'll just show you this. There's a little rock area here. It looks as though possibly it was dug out at one point, but there's some old boulders in there now. It's just all overgrown. But we do have this path that runs up here, and again you can see the theme of everything being abandoned and overgrown with the old quarry office. But now we can see into the enclosure a little better. It's quite a good spot here, but there's a better one further up. So let's go up here. And we've got this lovely area that's now got a canopy over the top. There we go, you can see the canopy there. And now we can see a bear down there. And the baby bear at the bottom. Looks like they've just been fed. The enclosure is accessible by the bears all over. You can see that, as I said, there are no barriers. There's natural rock wall, there's some boulders under here, and the old abandoned carts and the stone stop the bears coming over this way. And yeah, it's pretty. I like the fact there's no barriers. It's a big selling point for me. So after the overlook there, we can wander back down and onto the path. And the only other thing to show you really is this bit. So underneath part of the walkway, we've got an electricity station and a water purification station and a keeper's hut. So in fact, it's a keeper's hut. Yeah. So it means that there's electricity for this. The water keeps clean, and the staff don't go too far to get the food, and that's about it. So I hope you like the little project. It was something different. I'd like to thank again Mrs TeaRex for actually starting the project up. And if you're at all interested, nip along to Mrs TeaRex's YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below, and the community zoo can be found in the Steam Workshop, although at the time of recording this I'm not sure whether it's 100% finished or whether people are still adding to it. I'm about to go and add this to it. As I said, hope you've enjoyed it, hope you like my channel. If you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. My name's Backblast, and I'll catch you next time.